I'm Becky Little. I'm an artist and a builder, and currently I'm working on Earthbound Orkney, which is a project about using the subsoils of Orkney to create an exhibition about artefacts that come from place. We have this beautiful range of subsoils in Orkney, many different colours, textures, and what's inside those soils varies depending on the rock that they're coming from, the way the geology is weathered down from the rock into the soils. And then we have these different particles. We always have some clay, and clay is the tiny particle that glues the subsoil together like this. The cubes are made of rammed earth. That's taking just literally subsoil, breaking it down a little bit to become more like a powder. Here's one that I was ready to go. This is from the area just on the mainland next to the Broth of Bersey. It's a silty green subsoil, and the next step will be to wet it up for compaction. This is just going to activate the bit of clay that's in the mix. So anyone that makes pastry and scones will know that feeling of putting in just enough moisture to get the material to hold together, and you can see how it's clumping there. And that's basically what rammed earth is. It's just damp soil compacted together. And many of the old buildings on Orkney, the Neolithic buildings for instance, have compacted soil within the walls. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to bring this inside, and I may add a little more water in the making, but it won't be much. I'm going to make a little wooden box, and then I'm going to compact the soil in the box. When I look at that soil, in my mind is the point of Buckoy right next to the Broth of Bersey. It's that place. And then of course we've got shells from Bersey. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of layer a little bit of this in just to get a feeling of this shell being part of the story, because it exists right on the beach next to this soil on the bank. Right at the heart of everything that I do is about place. So that's place being place in space and place in time. We've got the deep time, grand scales where landscapes are created, and then we've got this hyperlocal scale where materials change, in very small scales. And I think my art in particular plays with all those scales in the process. The interesting thing about this whole process actually is I can't see what I'm making. You can't be too precious. You've kind of got to just let go a little bit of what's going to happen. It's kind of an unknown, and I find that quite exciting. And usually it's the ones I've spent least time on that are the best. When I just lose myself to a sort of intuitive process, I much prefer the results because it's more relaxed, more natural. Each cube, it's partly my emotional response, it's partly about the visual way that these soils appear in the landscape, and then of course it's about the history and the way processes have created specific things in specific places. So this is quite clay-rich soil from Kirkwall. So the other part of the artefact is the polished clay ball, and it's to show the way you can shine clay. In our exhibition in Earthbound, we're going to have these polished clay balls alongside some Neolithic ones that we find in the excavations on various Neolithic sites in Orkney. They're quite enigmatic and nobody really knows what they're for. The process is that we literally make a ball in our hands. So we get to a point where we've made a wet ball, and then we roughly shape it, and then as these balls dry, and once they're quite firm but still a little bit workable, that's when I start to use these polishing tools, which are either egg cups or small herb jars. So you're shaping really. You might see some shine starting to occur. And at this point too, if I see any little dips and holes, I can fill them in. It's just like plastering in miniature. And there's a thing about this process that's very meditative. There's something very sort of cosmological about them. They look like little planet Earths. I suppose there's that thing about climate change and erosion, and a lot of these are coastal soils coming from places where the water is encroaching and wind and weather is getting more wild, and all these kind of narratives are being woven into something quite small and intimate. It is dirt, and we're making treasure from it. And as soon as you make treasure from dirt, it's not dirt anymore, it's something more precious and something that you're going to look after.